Welcome to the Final Fantasy playlist. My name is Adam, and in today's episode, we're talking all about the Tower of Destruction. The Tower of Destruction is book 46 in the series for the Final Fantasy playlist, and it was the final release for 1991, and it was written by Keith Martin. The cover illustration there was done by Terry Oakes, and all the internal artwork was done by a fellow called Pete Nifton. And all the internal artwork, as you can see, is really nice, really detailed, really well done. There's nothing that's kind of like, ooh, that doesn't look cool. All the artwork pretty much looks cool, even those little small drawings that you get scattered throughout. The story is quite a different take on a classic adventure of you've got a quest to go on and you've got an objective, a goal for your quest. It's set on Titan, and I'm going to read the internal story first, and then I'll tell you a bit more about it. So inside, it says, "In the snowy northern wilderness of Alancia, life is hard, and so are the people. While you are on an expedition, the calm of your home village is shattered by a blazing sphere of death which comes screaming down through wintry skies in a maelstrom of fire and lightning to rain destruction upon your village. You return to find only ashes and bodies. Thirsting for justice, you must set out on the trail of the bizarre device. But where did it come from? Who made it? And can it be stopped? You must see your quest through to its astonishing conclusion to find the answers to all those questions. But beware. The sphere is the key to a far greater danger that threatens all Alancia." So as you can see, it's set on in Alancia. It mentions Port Blacksand in the background information, which, by the way, is only a page and a half, which is a pretty rarity for these books. Usually you get around about 2 pages plus of background information, so you can sort of visualize your world and who you are, where you've come from, and what your quest is in front of you. And you don't really get that with this book. It's very sparse in its detailing of the world around you and what it looks like, and I think it's kind of left up to you, based on the cover and based on the inside illustrations, for you to flesh out your own world. It doesn't very give you much. It basically just gives you the actions that are needed to get through the story, which the story has a couple of new elements or they're not new, but they're sort of mechanics to the story. So you've got your honor, and you've got a time score to keep track of. Your adventure sheet has different boxes, as you can see. So you've got your time that's elapsed in your story, and then you've got your honor, and there's even a section on your adventure sheet for enemy encounters, which is a new, bit of a strange one. And of course you've got your equipment list, your possessions, and your provisions. Nothing different there, but the time score you only need to keep track of for the half of the adventure until you reach the palace, and then you don't have to worry about it. But if you do run out of time, then it will be story over. The honor system is a system where you start at 6, and then because of the decisions you make in the story, that honor system will either go up or down, and depending on what your score is when you come to a decision, you know, if it says, like, you know, you've got if your honor points are between these values, you must choose this, and it kind of then dictates the story to you. The story, I really found a struggle to read this. I want to give it a second chance, but I've got nothing, you know, pushing me to do that. The story is kind of like weird. You know, it starts off with this big monolith tower destroying your village and killing your parents, and then you're having to go off and find out what it's all about and who sent it. But it's very lackluster in the descriptions for everything. So for me, it wasn't a very pleasant read, and this is the second time so far in the series where I've kind of not enjoyed the book. You know, and it's kind of left me like, well, it's just an okay story. I mean, if you're a collector, you're going to want to get this book as part of your collection, but if you're a reader, you might just do it out of interest and then go, well, that's that. You know, it's not a classic tale, it's not a classic story from the Final Fantasy series, and you kind of get the feeling, after we're going through each one by one, as to how they stopped writing these books. This is kind of that beginning of the spiral down. In fact, when you look inside and it sort of, numbers all the books that are in the list there, it goes up to 46. The Tower of Destruction is this final book. There are no other books scheduled ahead, which we know that there are 59 in the series in total. So we're almost to the end game, as it were, for the series. And I kind of understand why now. If this is the quality of the writing, it's written fine. I'm not knocking Keith Martin, who wrote it. I would say that it didn't really keep my attention. There was nothing new and fresh to keep my interest beyond reading it for this review. And it's the first time I have read it as well, so maybe I need a couple of more reads in order to appreciate the story. I never got to complete it. I got about, I'm not even halfway, to be honest. A bit strange, but it is an interesting story. In fact, I've just flicked through here and I found this character here. Does this dude here look a bit like Spock? It looks like I don't know, but anyway. So Tower of Destruction. If you're a collector, you will want to track this down. Might be a bit hard to find. It's not one of those ones that are always available to get. This is kind of one of them rare ones. It's not too pricey though. It's not like, some of these books cost like £100 plus. This will probably set you back about 15 quid if you're wanting to collect it. If you're wanting to read it just to see what it's like, try it, see if you like it. If not, move on. And in next week's episode, we're going to talk about The Crimson Tide, which is the next book in the series. But please let me know your thoughts and your comments on this book and how you played the adventure in the comments section below. And don't forget, in early January of next year, between the 5th and the 15th, we are going to be doing a live read. There's a link in the description box to the Facebook page where you can actually vote. And the voting finishes actually in about 7 days' time. The voting will finish. If you're watching this on a rerun, don't worry. You can watch the live event anyway on that Facebook page. And that's basically it. Yeah, thanks for watching this. And I'll see you next week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.